Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing Terminal Alliance, which is book one of the Janitors of the Post-Apocalypse by Jim C. Hines. So in all honesty, the only reason I pulled this out of the library was because of this wormy boy here. I thought he looked kind of cute and I wanted to see what he was about. So I took the book home to read it. And I wound up liking this book a lot more than I expected. And I didn't expect the book to be bad, but I had just checked it out because of a cute character on the cover, so I didn't really know what I was getting into, and I wound up really enjoying this book. So this is a sci-fi book, if you can't tell by the cover. This takes place in a world where humans have gone feral. So there was a plague that went through Earth, and humans have reverted to a feral state. However, there are other alien species. One of these have come in and is taking humans from Earth and cures them of the feralness and then uses them in the military. So the story starts following this group of humans that work in the military. They are these cured feral humans taken by this species, and they work in sanitation and hygiene. The main character is this MOPS individual. So things are going well. They're working aboard this ship called the Pufferfish, and they respond to a distress call for another ship. Their ship goes and responds to it. They go on board, they remove the attackers because it's being attacked, they come back to the ship, and then things start to get a little weird. And by a little weird, I mean something has the humans have clearly been exposed to something, and they begin to revert back to being feral, which in this universe, humans aren't the brightest species, but they are incredibly intimidating. Especially feral humans are considered very powerful, and they can really cause a lot of damage. So MOPS and her sanitation crew actually they don't fight. Again, they're kind of like janitors. So they were just on board ship, keeping things clean and repaired, and they were cleaning up some sort of nasty, disgusting mess. They had these sealed suits on because they didn't want to touch it or anything. So they're cleaning it up. So when the military people who were on the ship come back, this airborne, they think it was spread airborne, thing starts going around, and all the humans start reverting back to being feral. And they don't get it because they're stealing these suits. When the humans turn completely feral, they then turn on the alien in the crew and they kill all of them, with the exception of Grom, who winds up hiding in a pool. This leaves MOPS as the stable, sane, and highest ranking individual. So MOPS is now in charge of a ship. This janitor is in charge of this ship, and now she is trying to figure out what happened. This was clearly an act of bioterrorism. She wants to figure out what happened, what's going on, how the thing can be reverted. And she also is very loyal to these humans. These humans are feral, but she knows they don't have to be feral because there is a cure for it. That's how they all are working on the ship. They were cured by this species. She comes to learn that the military that she works for wants to just kind of kill all the humans and be like, whatever, we don't really want to discuss this because maybe there's something a little sketchy going on. So she makes it her goal to figure out what's going on, find a cure, and figure out who's behind this. So this book was really good. I rated this 4 stars. I laughed so hard during this entire book. It was really funny. The plot had a really good pacing. You never really felt like you were stuck or bored or things were rushed. I also really enjoyed like the commentary. So humans have gone feral, and then another species came in and is reverting them using some sort of cure to be not feral and work in the military, which means this species has full control over the narrative that they're telling the humans because they are in control, and that can lead to some problems, especially if they maybe want to gloss over some stuff, as we find out in this book. So it's very interesting to have that level of commentary. Also, we have a lot of elements that I really like in a sci-fi book. For example, big space battles. I love it when there's a lot of ships fighting each other in space. I just love it. I love it. So we get that, and I was there for it. I didn't expect there to be that in this book, and there was, and I liked it. We also get alien life, which I really love in sci-fi. I love how authors invent alien life and think about all the requirements this alien life would have. For example, Grom here, they like to play video games and they like to drink methane slushies. And just like the little details of, okay, what gravity are they used to? What atmosphere are they used to? What do they breathe? How do they eat? How is their society set up? Is very interesting. And I really enjoyed it. So we had 2 elements that I really enjoyed. We had a really funny plot. We had a good, interesting story, and it was just overall a great sci-fi world. So I have never read anything by Jim Hines before, but I definitely would read some going forward. And I think if you like sci-fi, this is a really good book that you can't miss. I've, again, really enjoyed it, 4-star read, and if you haven't given it a read, I would really recommend picking up a copy and seeing if you like it. I hope everyone is having a great day and continues to enjoy their day. Thank you. Have a great day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing book 2 of the Janitors of the Post-Apocalypse, Terminal Uprising by Jim C. Hines. So I pulled the first book of this series, which was Terminal Alliance, off the library shelf, mostly because there was a cool, funny looking alien on the cover, and the covers are indeed really outlandish and out there, but I kind of like it. It's very colorful and just a little bit out there. So I read book 1, I wound up really enjoying it despite only picking it off the shelf because I thought I had a cool alien. I really enjoyed Jim C. Hines' writing style. I thought he was humorous while also being able to touch on more serious subjects, and I kind of liked the concept of what he was writing about. So in this series, or to kind of recap volume 1, there's a team of janitors or hygiene and sanitation who are led by their captain, Marion Mops Adamopoulos. We're just going to call her Mops. They work on an alien spacecraft. Basically, the year is well in the future, and humanity was unfortunately exposed to a plague at some point which reduced all humans to these feral creatures. There's aliens in the galaxy. Some aliens came in called the Krakow. The Krakow convert humans or help humans get out of their feral state and turn them into soldiers for their purposes. Marion Mops Adamopoulos is one of the cured humans, and she's working as a janitor. So in this universe, and I don't know if there's a word for this, humans are the scary aliens. So instead of humans encountering other aliens in the galaxy that are very frightening, very difficult to beat, humans are considered very scary and very difficult to beat and very tough. So the humans are the scary aliens. These humans are cured. So there are the whole world, the whole earth is like the earth that we live on is still full of feral aliens, but there are some that are cured. They're working with the Krakow, and they tend to view the Krakow as their saviors. Well, in the end of book 1, we come to realize after a course of events, which mostly involve everyone else on the ship being incapacitated and the janitorial staff being the only ones who can still be in charge, that maybe the Krakow weren't fully honest about the reason the plague existed in the first place and their role in the plague to begin with. So Mops kind of is now rogue with her little sanitation and hygiene crew, as well as one alien called Grom, and she is trying to get to the bottom of what the Krakow did to her people, her fellow humans, and try to figure out if there's anything she can do about it. So in this book, Terminal Uprising, Mops winds up meeting up with one of their mortal enemies, which I kind of like the trope when enemies have to work together. And this one was Advocate of Violence, or Kate. They are a Prodrian, and those are kind of like the big bad guys in the galaxy. They're very hell-bent on destruction and death, and they want to destroy all their species, but occasionally they will work with other species if it furthers their end goal. So Mops is still in contact with another Krakow named Admiral Pachelbel. I think it's, or maybe it's not, she's not a Krakow, maybe she's a human. I don't actually remember the species of her, but she is kind of helping from the inside while Mops has kind of gone rogue outside the military that she technically is supposed to be serving in. And Admiral Pachelbel says, meet up with Kate, you guys are gonna work together, and so Mops is kind of forced to work with an enemy, and through a whole course of events, they find out that there is another admiral, Admiral Sage, who is planning a secret project on Earth, which is very concerning. And Mops and her team have to go check it out. Additionally, there's just a lot of little things that are adding up. There appears to be humans on the planet who are not entirely feral, so there are humans who appear to not have been affected by the plague, and Mops wants to go check it out. She wants to go meet them. She wants to see what Admiral Sage is doing on the planet Earth. She wants to really know what she can do to kind of fix the situation for humans. So book 2 mostly takes place on Earth, which is really interesting. It's like a return to the home world of Mops, but she's having to navigate a world that is in ruins because of this plague that spread through and reduced everyone to these feral creatures. I really liked seeing Earth in this state, it was very interesting. I feel like the author did a really good job of making it seem like something that really fell apart. And also the reason that some humans are no longer feral, or not no longer feral, were never feral in the first place, is very believable. Some of them had a genetic mutation which enabled them to not be affected by the Krakow plague, which is what they're calling the thing that broke out and caused all the humans to be feral. So they're trying to continue humanity's, or at least preserve humanity's knowledge until they can get something to a more better state. Most of humanity, 99% of humanity is just in these feral packs running around. But as Mops spends more time on Earth, more things start to unravel. She starts to learn more of the truth of what's going on, and she starts to see that maybe everything isn't as she was taught, which she already kind of knew at the end of book 1, but more things come to light. And also we're starting to see that within the Alliance, so within all these other alien species that are in the galaxy, there are factions and there are different people working on different projects. So there could be hope, and there's a role for humanity moving forward. I would probably give this a 4-star. I really enjoyed the book. I like Jim C. Hines' writing. I think he's very humorous. I think that we're seeing Mops. The first one was more like Mops and space adventure. This one is like Mops on Earth, so the setting is a lot more limited, but I kind of like that because we got to see the characters interact with one another more, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that is set up for a really good book 3. I'm excited to see where this goes going forward. And for fun space romps, sci-fi books, this is really good. I think this is an interesting story to read, and I think you should check it out if you like sci-fi, because I think you might get some enjoyment out of it. So that's my review of Terminal Uprising, book 2 of the Janitors of the Post-Apocalypse. Please let me know what you thought about this book if you read it, or if you've read anything else by Jim C. Hines, or anything else that you think I would find interesting. I'd love to hear it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm reviewing Terminal Peace by Jim C. Hines. This is what the cover of the book looks like. This is my 3rd book by Jim C. Hines, and also the 3rd book in the Janitors of the Post-Apocalypse series. Apologies, my cat is knocking my camera. And I love Hines. I feel like when I pick his books up, I'm always going to get a fun sci-fi adventure, and that's exactly what I want. So again, as mentioned, this is the 3rd book in the series. First 2 books have a review on my channel, and the main character in the 3rd book is still Mops, our human protagonist who is leading the charge in this galaxy full of aliens and different challenges. So to recap a little bit, humans in this universe have gone feral, and the whole Earth is overrun. Human civilization is in shambles, but good news, the Krakow, which is a alien species, can actually revert some humans. And in this world, this is one of those scenarios where humans are really strong and buff, and they're like the big scary people in the universe instead of being the weak squishy ones the aliens immediately kill. So we do have this idea that the aliens are super tough, but they need to be reverted out of a feral state. Mops, our protagonist, during the course of normal day-to-day events, she was originally working as a janitor on a ship in this alliance which the Krakow have created with other alien species, and she uncovers that the Krakow not only necessarily revert humans, but they actually are the cause of some of the problems humans are currently facing with regard to being feral, and they didn't really own up. Instead, they've kind of buried some of the problems related to their involvement with humanity, and Mops, in this long span of 2 books, breaks away and starts to establish humanity's own place in the galactic universe. There's this whole other problem. The Prodrians, which is a genocidal group that doesn't really play nice with the Alliance, is trying to exterminate all life from the galaxy except them. They think it is their God-given right. And so the Alliance exists for a reason, and Mops has to kind of find her place in this galaxy where she's kind of annoyed some people may be in the Alliance, but also the Prodrians are a serious threat that everyone kind of needs to come together to face or to find a resolution to. This book actually starts with Mops going to a planet that is kind of intriguing because the Prodrians, who are normally very intent on killing everybody and everything they encounter, have left the inhabitants of this world alone, and they refuse to go near this planet. So the scope of this book is very narrow in the sense that they're not jumping, Mops and her crew are not jumping from planet to planet or location to location. Most of it takes place on the Toxodal world. That's the name of the world where these people live. The people who live there are called the Jinx, and they are living on this planet, and she wants to find out maybe why the Prodrians are so scared of this planet. So she winds up, at the very beginning, they wind up going to this planet, Mops and her team, and they're going to meet some people on the planet. They wind up meeting a Prodrian who no longer has a violent instinct, which is not common, has not been heard of, and they have to figure out what's going on. Well, on this planet, they also discover that the Jinx, which is this previously not really contacted species, is being controlled by a supercomputer in the form of their ring, and they have splintered into different factions, debating on where they want to go in terms of their society and how they would like to evolve. But I think the overarching thing that really makes this story move kind of quickly is Mops as a person is going through some problems. She is actually rejecting the cure, or her body is rejecting the cure for the feralness that humans experience, and she is starting to revert back to her feral form, at which point she will do things like attempt to eat her teammates, and she will have to be sedated and controlled because there really is no cure if her body's rejecting the current existing one. So we have this entire problem of how are we stopping the Prodrians? Does the Jinx, do the people on this planet have any clues on how we can stop them? Where is our role for humanity in the galaxy? And what is going to happen to Mops, because clearly there is no cure for this feralness that she is facing. So all of it kind of wraps up these plot lines that we've been exploring through the first 2 books in the series, kind of neatly packaged up in a way to kind of sum up this little sci-fi adventure that we have been following. I really like this book, and I figured I would because I like Jim C. Hines' writing. I did hear, and I think this is important, it's in the back of the book in the author's note right here, that the author actually wound up losing his wife to cancer between the writing of the 2nd book and the 3rd book. At least that's my understanding of the timeline. And that definitely impacted the way he wrote this 3rd book. So there is a delay between the 2nd book and the 3rd book, and I'm very sorry to hear that he lost his wife. That's a very difficult thing to go through. And I'm definitely not complaining about the gap in time between those 2 books. But I think more importantly, and the author recognizes this himself, it changed the way he wrote book 3. For example, the inclusion of Mop's diagnosis of reverting back to feralness, so Mop's having to face an incurable disease that is going to progressively advance and eventually, well, she will not die, she's going to be taken over by something and not be her own conscious self, or parallels, in my opinion, what he talks about his wife having gone through, or what his family had to go through with his wife, not their wife, his wife. So I think there's some parallels there, and the author directly calls that out in the author's note in the back section. So that is just something to think about. I think the author has a really good skill at balancing humorous moments and light moments with the team in this little fun sci-fi adventure with maybe more serious things like how do you react when faced with news like this, or when faced with a situation like this. And I think he does that very well in this book. I continue to enjoy, on a little bit of a lighter note, I do continue to enjoy the trope where 2 people who work on opposite sides are forced to work together for a situation, usually thrown together by fate. And in this example, or in this book, we have Advocate of Violence, who is this Prodrian lawyer who has kind of been forced to team up with Mops and work together. So we kind of have 2 people on opposite ends who are forced to work towards a common goal. I love that trope. I like seeing it. So that's always an enjoyable add to this book, and it continued in book 3. It started, I believe, in book 2. So that trope has been continuing, and I really enjoyed it. And I like the writing. I just think the writing is good, the adventure is fun, it's just a fun, good book to read, and I'm actually really excited to read more from Jim C. Hines. I have Goblin Quest out right now, which I've heard is good, so I'm going to give that a try. I think that's more fantasy, while this one is more of a sci-fi book, but it'll be interesting to see the differences, and I'm excited to continue reading this series, or not this series, reading content by Hines and seeing what else he can put out. So if you have any thoughts on this series, please leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your